rolling on to our number 2 training camp battle, and that is safety 1 and safety 2. This is definitely going to be one of the bigger ones to watch in training camp. McLeod leaving in free agency. You expect, this is Marcus Epps' job to lose here next to Anthony Harris. Epps played 45% of the Eagles' defensive snaps last year, and all signs point to him having a much bigger role in 2022. In the last 2 years, Epps has played in 30 games with 8 starts. He's going to have a ton of more opportunity here in his 4th NFL season. He ended last year with 62 tackles, 5 pass breakups, an interception. He was ranked PFF's 18th best safety last year, well ahead of Rodney McLeod, well ahead of Anthony Harris. And for better or worse, he was the best looking safety for the Eagles. So I guess the main question here is, can Marcus Epps look as good or even better with an expanded role? I think that is like the biggest question mark moving forward. I thought Anthony Harris was a huge disappointment last year. He's definitely versatile. He can play both free and strong safety. He can play deep safety. He can help you in the box a little bit. But he didn't impress me at all in coverage. He always seemed to be around the miscommunication, like blunders that we saw in the defensive backfield last season. I think he's a good backup, but he's not a quality starter, at least on my end. I'll hear what you guys think. Then we get to Kayvon, who the Eagles drafted back in 2020 in the 4th round. He started 3 games in his past 2 seasons. He played only 16% of the team's defensive snaps, and 83.5% of those came in weeks 1, 2, and 18 when Rodney McLeod was not active. So for me, all signs point to Kayvon, not getting a big role on this team. Then we get to Jaquiski Tartt. He's a physical safety. He doesn't have the best stats, the most efficient stats, but and he only had 4 interceptions in the last 7 years. But he is another versatile safety that we know Howie likes a lot. He's experienced. He's solid in run defense. He thrives at playing downhill. He's a hard hitter, which is something I think Eagles fans will love. I don't really know where this position is going to go. I think it's just – I don't know if anybody knows where this position is going to go. It's definitely Marcus Epps and then whoever wins it. I'm going to throw it to you, Reese. What's your take on the safety position?
Yeah, I think Epps kind of gets a little crapped on. Doesn't have a lot of flash or whatnot, and I think Eagles fans have kind of just, anointed him as oh man, that's our weak point in our defense now, and I feel like it's a little unfair. He played decent. Yeah, Anthony Harris was average at best. But I like kind of bringing in Tartt. I think him and Epps will push each other. I think Wallace, unfortunately, is a step or 2 below that. Still kind of a longer term developmental safety. Get him in when you can and try to build him up that way. So I don't think he's going to be in the mix. I think they might honestly have a really just nice 3-man rotation with Epps, Tartt, and Harris, because I feel like they do have a skill set in all 3 of them that can kind of play where they need to play safety-wise. So I'm kind of excited to see how Gannon fits all 3 of them in there, because I think they're all kind of very similar on the same level. Harris, obviously, the vet, Epps, the up-and-comer, and Tartt that's kind of been around for a few years as well. So I like the fact that they brought in Tartt. I think that just adds, if anything, it adds depth to that position that clearly, with all of the offseason moves that we made, was the weakest link. But what we've done in the other positions will help out our safeties. We've built up a linebacking core that was pretty crappy to a pretty respectable one right now. We got ourselves a second corner in Bradbury. The defensive line is filled with depth. So all of those, work in connection with each other. And I think the importance of the safety position isn't going to be so severe now that those other positions are going to only make their jobs a little easier. So I think they're set up perfectly You don't need studs back there right now with the way this defense is. So I think they have the three guys that'll absolutely be perfect for the job. And I think they can actually thrive with everything else that we have going on in this defense. So for one of the first times in, God, I can't remember, I'm pretty satisfied with this defense overall and with the defensive backfield and the safeties.
Wow. Reese is drinking the Kool-Aid for
I
sure.
so am. I so am. I am drunk on that stuff.
Dylan says added pressure from Reddick will help the back end significantly. I agree.
Dylan knows what's up.
Yep. I think Tart will get snaps as third safety against spread formations. Mike says Tart is a tackling machine, makes plays. Also, good against the run. Battle comes down to Epps versus Tart. What about you, Ryan Finneran? What's your take on the safety position?
Well, I was kind of going to say exactly what Fuji just said. I have looked at some tape from Tart. He is a tackling machine. The guy knows how to close out, knows how to get to the ball, and really has good fundamental skills. And kind of towards what you were saying, Dives, is like Epps is the guy that you wish was just a little bit better. And I think he's going to kind of remain that. I had high hopes for Kayvon Wallace, but it seems like he's still in that, I don't know, not a developmental stage, but it's like, I mean, he's really got to show out in this training camp to get up in, even in the Eagles kind of line of sight, just for them to be like, okay, yeah, we'll give you a couple more shots and see how you are against, starters and first teamers and stuff like that. But, Tart being a veteran, been in the league 8 years, Epps proving that he at least can play on this team and be effective in a way. Those things bode well. Kayvon Wallace, I don't know about him, how long he'll be on this team, if at all. I'm curious about the rookie, Reed Blankenship. It's kind of looking at some of his tape too. Guy knows football. He's got a football mind, but again, he's a rookie. He would have to just jump off the page for them to actually have him starting. But if it comes down to it, I would have to say that Epps will be there, and then Tart, kind of just right there, right behind him during training camp.
Yep. What about you, Shane?
I'm quite a bit higher on Marcus Epps. I thought last year he was the best safety on the Eagles roster. I thought he outplayed Anthony Harris. I thought he outplayed Rodney McLeod. And granted, he did it playing under 50% of the snaps. I think he played like 44% of the snaps last year. But the Eagles are going to play three safeties. They had three guys in their top 12 of snap counts on defense were all safeties. So I think they're going to play a rotation of three guys. I think Marcus Epps is the guy that's going to be their snap leader at safety this year. And then I think you're going to have Jaquiski Tart and Anthony Harris sort of rotating in that safety 2 and, third safety because they like to go three safeties. I think you can maybe put Tart in the box a little bit as well, too, in some sub packages and things like that. As for Kayvon Wallace, it's just never worked out for him. He seems always banged up. He seems to just not be making the progress they wanted him to. I was really high on Kayvon Wallace when they drafted him. I thought he had the potential to be that day 3 steal, and it just hasn't turned out that way, which it often doesn't. Guys make it to day 3 for a reason, but there's always some of those guys you like, and he was one of them. But I think his time's kind of running out. So I think Epps is actually going to be your snap leader at safety, and then I think Tart and Harris will rotate into that second and third role.
Love it. Any final thoughts?
I did like that. I did like that comment. Jared Maiden as well, kid from Alabama. I mean, when you think about the college football teams that you're looking to kind of scout and get a defensive player from, Alabama's one of them, and the kid's only 1 year in, so that's it. He could be interesting, something to watch. The story during training camp, hopefully. Wouldn't it be a good problem to have if this kid comes up and starts performing out of his mind and really makes us all question all of this?
I'll take one of those Alabama safeties next year because what's his face is an absolute stud. Jordan Battle will be one of the top picks in the draft next year. Jordan Battle is the name everyone should know.
The Eagles won't take him because they don't take safeties.
No.
One other thing on Jaquiski Tartt I'll mention is I like production out of my safeties, and he's basically been a starter for 7 years in San Francisco. And in those 7 years, he has 4 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. So he's not a big play guy. He's a solid tackler. He's not a guy that's going to make splash plays. I want a guy that'll make some splash plays at safety. And I think you saw Epps flash some at times last year.
Yeah,
so.
no question. No question.